Good morning once again. Well, we're looking at our first topic today on Osun State, renowned for its deep political history and vibrant democratic engagement. Is once again at the center of a fierce battle for control. But this time, the war is not at the state level. It is a struggle for the grassroots, where real political power begins, the battle for grassroots control, a special edition where we unravel the intrigues, power tussles, and strategic maneuvers shaping the political landscape of Osun's local governance. Who holds the real influence at the grassroots? What's at stake for political parties? And how will this battle define the future of Osun's democracy? Join us as we dive deep into the drama, the power plays, and of course the implications of this unfolding political showdown, as we have in the studio with us a political scientist, Neville Obakede, to help dissect this issue. Good morning, Neville.
Good morning, ITV. Thank you for having me. And good morning, viewers and listeners all over the world.
On Zoom presence, we have a legal practitioner, Matthew Edagese. Good morning, Matthew. All right, thank you, Matthew. Also joining us via Zoom from the United States, Texas, Austin, is Ahmed Momodu. Good morning, Ahmed.
Philip, good morning, viewers. It's a delight to be on your program once again, Philip.
Thank you. Let's start with you, legal practitioner. You know, we look at the legal issues before the Osun State local councils, and of course, just the State High Court earlier ahead of the appeal court judgment that brought about the elections that were held last week Saturday, in spite of the fact that even the Attorney General of the Federation and of course the IG, warned against the holding of that election. It went on. But let's look at the appeal court again judgment that brought about the reinstatement of the, APC sacked local government bosses. And what do you have to say? Because we have two court judgments, and the rule of law basically it should be obeyed. But what do you say as regards the development so far legally? Audio, lack of audio signals from the legal practitioner Matthew Edagese. Let's pedal the question back to you, Ahmed Momodu. You've been following the trend in Osun State and the local government councils in crisis. What do you see about the PDP-controlled government in that state by the governor Adeleke Ademola, and of course that of the reinstatement of the APC local government chairman? It seems to bring about a big tussle that may sharpen the politics and democracy in Osun. What do you have to say in this direction?
Philip, I think it's a welcome development, even though there has been a lot of back and forth on the issue, but it brings into focus a challenge that has been resurfacing in this in our democratic experiment. The untoward influence state governors have on the local government affairs, and the determination of the federal government to see that those local governments are completely separate, operating financially separate, administratively separately, and politically separately from the state government. So it's interesting that, first of all, the courts reinstated the former local government chairman. And on the eve of their coming back, the state governor went ahead and conducted elections in spite of an outstanding court order. So it brings into focus several factors. One of them is the lack of adherence to law and order of the state governor, as far as I'm concerned. And then secondly, the untoward interest they continuously have in who governs at the local government level. There's nothing wrong with that, but it must be based on the principle of fair play, and it must reflect the will of the people. If there is still an outstanding mandate, I believe that the best thing for the governor to have done would have been to enforce that mandate and to see how he can rally his own troops, subsequently another election, and come back again. But this back and forth has been very unnecessary. It speaks very poorly for the development of those 30 local governments in Osun State. And I think a a solution should be found as quickly as possible so that things settle down and don't escalate further.
Let's get your thoughts on this, Neville Obakere, because some have also said that there seems to be some power play from the center that wants to, unduly, oppress the state government by all of these issues that are developing in the state.
Well, Osun State is one of the states that was created by General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, who has been treading the news in recent time. And so when we are talking about Osun State now, we should also remember the person who created the state. Osun State was created in August 27, 1991 by General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida along other states. And the first civilian governor of that state, first executive governor of that state, is the elder brother to the current governor, Alhaji Isiaka Adeleke, was the first governor. He later became a senator and died as a service senator before the political power in his party felt that the brother, this one should be the person to be senator. Then from senator, he now became governor. He's a lucky man. Lucky man because of the foundation that was laid by the brother. But as we look at Osun State just now, it reminds me of what happened in the old Western Nigeria, and Osun State was carved out of old Western Nigeria. And it is the violence that characterized the political power play between late Chief Obafemi Awolowo and late Samuel Ladoke Akitola, which resulted in the concept of Operation Wet here, Operation Wet It. Just look at somebody's property, they ask everything and wet it. So what happened the day the local government chairman wanted to resume office after they were reinstated by the Court of Appeal, a judgment that was delivered at Akure? It reminds me of Operation Wet here. It also reminds me of the crisis that happened between Chief Akonde and his deputy governor. I'm trying to remember his name now. Omishore. Now, as we speak, democracy is supposed to be based on the rule of law. And if it is based on the rule of law, a governor will get the ticket of his party on the basis of the rule of law, starting from primaries. The governor is elected. The opposition will go to court until finally the Supreme Court will pass judgment to say you are the authentic governor elect. And so such a governor will not disregard the rule of law. For example, when that case was pending in court, I'm sure the Attorney General and other team of lawyers represented the Osun State government. They were there when the judgment was delivered. They had read the judgment, and they were supposed to obey the judgment. Now, I think number one thing that resulted in the violence that led to the death of some persons during that attempt to resume was because the APC chairman wanted to resort to what we call self-help in law. They would have sought the authority of the court and the authority of the police to effect the judgment. Yesterday, I got information that all these APC chairmen resumed offices in Ekiti State because security was provided for them. And the governor, when he was swearing in, he quote, those that he elected on Saturday, he gave them instruction to stay away from the secretariat of the 30 local government areas for fear that there will be crisis there. So the governor of Osun State, I don't know whether he's watching this program just now. I like him because in any ceremony that he appears, he used to dance, and I call him a dancing governor. So the dance that he used to embark on is social dance, political dance. But this one that he has just embarked on now is what I call a political, gruesome, macabre dance. And that kind of dance will liquidate the state. The present president of this country understands politics more than several other persons who have occupied that position. He knows when to apply what. And that's why the other day, IBB was calling him not just the Jagaban of Bogu Kingdom, where he was given that title. He said Ahmed Tinubu is the Jagaban of Niger State politics. And when he's talking of Niger State politics, now he's talking of the influence of himself Ibrahim Babangida and the influence of Abdulsalam Abubakar that bettered this democracy.
Right.
Now, the rest is history, but while talking about Osun State, I just see that people who are in position of authority, they always have people around them who, for fear of losing their privileges and what they get from the office of the person that appointed them, in this case, the governor of Osun State, they will not want to tell him the truth.
Okay, now speaking about the truth, let's move. If we could get our legal practitioner Matthew on board right now, let's move back to Matthew. Matthew, if you can hear me, so we know Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke to be the dancing senator, and for interesting times now, we haven't been seeing him doing much dancing, and there's been a bit of back and forth between the governor and also the judiciary as well. And a lot of persons have said that after all of this said and done, after the election that happened on Saturday, what we presume might eventually happen is the fact that this case is going to end in court. What do you make out of it?
Well, the Osun State unfolding political development as regard the council elections and the order of court to reinstate the sacked local government chairman is quite confusing and intriguing. Intriguing in the sense that there are contending interests. The Abuja interest at the federal and the state interest, the governor. I think legality is taking the back seat. Politics is taking the front row. Ordinarily, it is a straightforward issue. When the court make pronouncements, people are supposed to obey. In a situation where the people decide to ignore the court, the parties decide to ignore the court decisions and resort to self-help, as it is playing out in Osun State, we are in a dire situation. This is a threat to democracy and rule of law. Osun State is beginning to introduce a very frightening dimension into our political experiments. The rule of law has no place in a democracy. That is what they are trying to preach to all of us. And it is strange because rule of law is supposed to be the foundation of democracy. If you remove rule of law, democracy cannot even exist, no place of thriving. I expected the parties to comply with the court judgments. First, there is this autonomy decision by the Supreme Court. But as we speak, it is more obeyed in breach than in observance. The local government council, as you see in Nigeria, they are not close to anything autonomy. They are tied to the apron string of their various state governments. In fact, they operate from the pockets of the state governments. Whatever autonomy they are given, in practice, even the council chairmen are not ready to be autonomous. They prefer to owe allegiance to those who appoint and anoint them. Local government autonomy is not going to be anchored solely on the judicial pronouncement. The political reality is what we should attend to. How do these local government chairmen and councillors, how do they emerge? The process that throw them up will determine whether they will be autonomous or they will be subservient. Internal democracy in political parties is not observed in local government elections. The governor sits in his comfort of his office and compile list of those he wants to present. In fact, there are more of appointees than elected public officers. This is the problem. If proper election does not throw up local government representatives, then autonomy will be a far cry. This is the situation we have found ourselves. We must first talk of internal democracy, adherence to the due democratic process, before we talk of autonomy, because whoever is appointed is already a servant to the appointer. If you are elected by the people, you owe allegiance to the people. But in a situation whereby you circumvent the process and get appointed by the incumbent governments across the state as we see, there is no way you can now jump out of that Ghana must go by you have voluntarily entered into and be talking of autonomy. This is the reality that we are confronted with as a people.
Well, we will be looking at how this will go about in terms of resolving the issue, most especially as is this power play for the benefit of the people, or is this just to grab powers by political parties? We'll take a short break, after which we'll continue on this day.
Ignition Education Center is not just a school, but a 21st century foundational and transformational development center for every child. And that's because it has ICT and Wi-Fi systems, first-class boarding and academic facilities, computer-based teaching and learning, qualified and experienced teachers with well-equipped laboratories, 24-hour medical service, Olympic swimming pool plus Montessori training center. Ignition Education Center, an award-winning school in WAEC and NECO, is among top 5 schools in SSC in Nigeria. Admission into Ignition Secondary School Basic 7 and 8 GSS 1 and 2 and SS 1 and 2 for the 2025-2026 academic session. Application forms inclusive of school's prospectus and information package for the entrance examination are available on the payment of a non-refundable fee of 20,000 naira cash. Application forms can also be downloaded from the school's website at www.ignatoeducation.com.
Entrance examination date Saturday 22nd March 2025. Time 9 a.m. prompt.
At Ignition Education Center, 218-219 Murtala Mohammed Way, Benin City, Edo State. Please note, the best candidate will be offered a full secondary education scholarship from GSS 1 to SS 3. Ignition Education Center, educating leaders of the 21st century.
Thank you for staying on. Let's quickly get to you, Ahmed Mamadou. There are a lot of issues unfolding, and some have said that the power play seems to be for personal aggrandizement and not for the people. We're looking at the reinstatement judgment by the Court of Appeal, which is in favor of the sacked APC local government chairman. But do you see the move and the, interests shown by the manifestation of, display being done or seen by the APC as a plan to really make the people benefit from this, or just to cause some, anomaly and, of course, for personal aggrandizement?
Let's look at a wider. Let's take a wider perspective of what is unfolding. Just a few days ago, former President Babangida came out and issued an apology for the fiasco that June 12, 1993 has turned out to be. That singular event has wrecked our political climate for the past few decades. Now, if you want to resolve political issues, the foundation of any resolution must be based on some form of truth and reconciliation. If there's an outstanding mandate for local government chairman in Osun State, I believe the proper thing to lay that issue to rest will be to allow those local government chairmen who were duly elected by their constituents to execute that mandate and see it through before any other resolution can be brought. Now, to have an election on top of that election, you are simply trying to build on top of another building. And sooner or later, the whole pack of cards will collapse. Bringing it closer home, we are witnesses to what happened in the immediate past administration of Governor Obaseki, where 14 members of the State House of Assembly were never allowed to execute the mandate that they were given by their constituents. And we know the kind of political climate that has festered on Edo State politics. These kind of things should not be allowed to continue. We need to draw a line and say, look, enough of executive rascality. If there is a mandate that is outstanding, that mandate must be seen through, and the people must get the dividends of that mandate before any other mandate will be issued to anybody else. And that's my opinion on the issue.
They are all about, personal gains rather than governance at the grassroots. What's your take on that, Neville?
Well, this whole issue of local governments being subservient to the state government in terms of electioneering, in terms of election of local government chairmen and their councillors. is traceable to a former president and commander-in-chief of this country, the person of Olusegun Obasanjo. Don't know if he's watching this program now. In his third term bid, he now amended the Electoral Act to allow states to have their own state electoral commission, as distinct from the National Electoral Commission that conducted the 1993 local government election. In Edo State here, a local government was won by an opposition party, APP that time. And there was a barrister, Eric Daragbo. Akoko Edo was won by APP, by one Mr. Martial, also one retired headmaster of principal. After that, any political party in power in a state now sued the polls. If you come to Edo State is APC now. If there's going to be local government election in Edo State tomorrow, the SCF would declare all the seats. APC will win all the local government chairmanship seats, win all the councillorship seats. If it is Labour Party that's in Edo State, Labour Party will win all the seats. This is what is playing out. And as have been observed by several commentators, it is a bad omen. It is a mockery of democracy. Now, it's also equally a mockery of democracy for people not to obey the rule of law. The other day, Peter Obi, when he was governor of Anambra State, while his tenure had not expired, he was impeached. And then he went to court. While he was seeking judgment, INEC conducted election into the governorship position of that state. And Andy Uban won that election. He barely spent 3 months when the Supreme Court said Obi should return back to go and complete his tenure. Similar to what happened in this Osun State local government election wahala. And then Andy Uban had to leave that place and allow Obi to become the governor to complete his tenure. So I also believe that Osun State governor and his political allies should obey that court of appeal judgment and allow the local government persons that were elected under APC to complete their tenure. After their tenure, he can now conduct election for PDP to sweep the polls. And to answer your question,
but an election has already been conducted.
Yeah, no. That election is unknown to law. It's just like the election. I decided to give this background.
But he has sworn them in already.
He sworn them in and said they should stay away from the secretariat.
Money has been expended.
So it doesn't mean. I made mention of Anambra State just now, where INEC conducted the election for a governorship position that was not even vacant. And the court said that election was unknown to law. So the election that was conducted in Osun State, if you bring the matter before the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, the panel of justices will say that that election was unknown to law. And in any case, the order from an Osun State High Court commanding and directing the SCF and the governor to conduct that election, the judge who delivered that judgment will be reprimanded by higher court authorities. But the point I'm trying to make is that we should stop making mockery of our rule of law and democracy, as we have seen not only in Osun State, in several other places. People and those in position of authority should obey the law. Even if a judgment is delivered by a kangaroo court, in quote, the order had to be obeyed. You seek that order to be vacated. That is the rule of law.
Right. Now, there are those who actually believe that the reason why we have this occurrence happening every single time where states organize local government election, and clearly if APC is the one in power, APC would have all the, the local government in that state. In PDP, same thing would happen. And then there are those who believe that it always happened because the elections are being conducted by the state government. And why not we introduce INEC conducting local government elections in Nigeria? I know at this point, INEC only conducts election in Abuja for the local government. So do you think that would actually salvage the situation?
Well, it's a very complex situation. And as Philip asked me before, it's for battle to control the grassroots. The battle that is, if you are a governor of a state, for instance, you should be seeing controlling the nooks and crannies of your state politically. And the only way you can be seen doing that is by installing your proteges and your stooges in all the wards and in all the local government areas. Now, that is what is playing on. But the point that have been made by those who have experienced leadership and democracy in Nigeria is summed up in the book that was written by the chairman of NEC, National Electoral Commission, under military president Ibrahim Babangida. I'm referring to Professor Osun, who died recently. He wrote in his book that all elections in Nigeria should be conducted by INEC, whether local government elections, state house of assembly elections, or national elections. Now, a former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Lawal Uwais, was made chairman of Electoral Reform Commission by President Umaru Yar'Adua. Now, in his recommendation, they called for the scrapping of State Independent Electoral Commission so that INEC can now be conducting all elections. And I align myself with that reasoning. If you allow INEC to conduct election in a state, if you have 3 major leading political parties, there are some areas that some even minor political parties or parties that can be referred to as relevant political parties, they will either win the chairmanship of that area or they win the councillorship position of that area. So I align myself with that reasoning.
Okay.
That INEC should be the one conducting election into local government.
Okay.
And not a state electoral.
Thank you, Neville. Thank you, Neville. Before we come to the legal practitioner, let's quickly go to Osun State, where we have the Commissioner for Information, Kolakbo Aleme, joining us via Zoom. Good morning, Mr. Kolakbo. Well, I'm afraid we are having poor signals, and as soon as we're able to get connectivity, we'll be having the input of the Commissioner for Information from Osun State to join us. Okay, we have visuals up. Good morning, Mr. Kolakbo. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
All right, good to have you join, but we are following the processes going on, the developments in Osun State. We understand that a tactical team, the security operatives attached to the tactical team of the Inspector General of Police have been deployed to Osogbo to keep the peace. But let's follow through. We already know the governor of the state, Ademola Adeleke, is of the PDP. And of course, the appeal court judgments that gave the reinstatement of the sacked APC local government chairman to be reinstated. Now, what do you see about this issue at the grassroots? Some have said that the governor is supposed to obey the rule of law, but it seems the otherwise. Do you see this development or this start or this reaction made by the governor to go ahead to conduct the election on Saturday, just a few days back, February 22, as an act of obeying the rule of law when there is a judgment already in the Court of Appeal reinstating the sacked APC local government bosses?
Let me first of all correct that picture. It's quite unfortunate that most of our lawyers, senior lawyers, they are lashing on the propaganda of the APC. There is no reinstating anybody. And I make bold to say I'm also a legal practitioner and I'm bound by the code of conduct of a legal profession. There is no such judgment. If there is any, let anybody publish it. But let me tell the whole world the background of this case. You will recall that the former governor, Adegboyega Oyetola, came on board 2018 November. Throughout 2019, he did not conduct local government elections. 2020, same thing. 2021, 2022. By 2022, after losing the election on July 16, it was there that he started meeting the idea of conducting local government elections. And anybody who knows about our rules now will agree with us that the Electoral Act provides for 360 days for any election, starting from the national election to the local government election. But between July and November, when Alhaji Oyetola was to hand over the reign of the governor, there will be no enough time for that one for 360 days. So he said he will be given 60 days notice. All political parties, all the 18 political parties, registered political parties, except that of the APC, they wrote to the OSEC there that what you are about to do is against the law and will not be a participant. And then all of them, they refuse to participate. However, two of the political parties, the People's Democratic Party and the Action People's Party, APP, they approached the Federal High Court to challenge that election. Along the line, that election was held on October 15, and the product of the election, the chairman, they were sworn on October 16. And when you look at the ballot paper for that election, that's why we need to tag them yes or no. Because there was no any other political party that participated, they have to print yes or no ballot paper. Now go back to the case. The PDP filed its own case, pursue it to logical conclusion. Judgment was delivered for the PDP on 25th November 2022. Same thing, the APP, they pursued their case and judgment was delivered on November 30. That of the PDP was delivered before even Governor Adeleke was sworn in. That of the APP was delivered by the Federal High Court 2 days just after the hearing of Governor Adeleke. In the two cases, the Federal High Court nullified the election, that is one, and asked those the product of the election to package the office and even nullify Section 16, which runs contrary to the Electoral Act. Section 16 of the OCX law. That's the basic. Now, on getting to the Court of Appeal, the APC, who happen to be party in the two suits, they have right of appeal and they exercise it. They appeal the two judgments. I want the whole world to know that the two judgments were never consolidated. It will have been a different ball game if the two judgments have been consolidated, and it means one judgment will have served the other. The two judgments were never consolidated. They were delivered separately. And so the APC also appealed the two judgments separately. They filed appeal against the judgment obtained by the PDP. They equally filed an appeal against the judgment obtained by the APP. On getting to the Court of Appeal, they discovered that they will not get a valid argument against the judgment obtained by the APP because there was no any issue there. Let me repeat. The case obtained by the PDP had lost to court when the OCX made some press releases. As at that time, OCX had not published notice. And so when the notice was eventually published, the PDP lawyers applied to the court for amendment, which the OCX opposed and the APC opposed, and the amendment was granted. However, that of the APP was filed after the notice has been given. Now, what shall happen? When they go to Court of Appeal and they discover that they will not have any issue on the basis of it, that is on the notice given per se, they are lawyers and they know that the notice given is not appropriate. And so they abandoned the judgment obtained by the APP at the Federal High Court. And later on, APP went back to the Court of Appeal, and that appeal was struck out. Because when you file a notice of appeal, there are some steps to be taken. So by January 13 this year, that appeal was struck out. However, they pursue appeal in respect of the judgment obtained by the PDP. And that judgment was delivered on the 10th February. In that judgment, they only challenged the originating summons that as at the time the case of PDP was filed, there was no cause of action and that the case was premature. Go and read the judgment. Because of agree with them, it's 1 and 2. We deal with the issue of jurisdiction. And the Court of Appeal struck out the originating summons and struck out the suit. Now, that is it. What we are now saying is what happened to the judgment obtained by the APC, which they abandoned the appeal, upon which the Court of Appeal struck out the notice of appeal. We are telling them that government will succeed. Now, let me tell the whole world that our learned Attorney General of the Federation actually gave a report. And he only reviewed the judgment obtained by the PDP. And most of the analysts too, they are reviewing the judgment obtained by the PDP, which the court only struck out. Agree, that would have been the position of the law. If that is the only case, if that were to be the only case, And the judgment has been, the Court of Law has nullified it. They will have right to go back to the council. However, in the face of another case, subsisting one, which the Court of Appeal has affirmed by striking out the appeal, we are telling the whole world that government is still subsisting. That is what they don't want people to know. Because most, I heard some other people yesterday on television, they were focusing all the attention as if it was on the appeal spoke out on February 10th. And let me tell the whole world too, that the appeal of the PDP, when you see the relief sought, the appeal of the APC upon the judgment obtained by the PDP, the relief sought by the APC, the first relief was that the appeal should be allowed. The second one was that the ruling of the federal court should be struck out. The third one was that the suit should be struck out. The prayer D was that they should be reinstated. Go and have them. Go and look at that judgment. You see it there. The court granted the prayer A allowing the appeal. It is meritorious. The court struck out the suit. Please, don't pardon me for this. Let me answer my thoughts. Most now follow is that the court rejected their prayer for reinstatement. And so, as it is today, the only subsisting judgment is the judgment of the Court of Appeal of the Federal Court affirmed by the January 13 Court of Appeal nullification of their appeal, which we know, of the APP, which we know is still subsisting. There is no amount of propaganda that can help them. And our government has told the whole world that it is the court that will resolve this matter.
Okay, Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much for your submission on this case. But just as you have said, obviously there are so many conflicting orders. And interestingly, this issue is still on the front pages of the newspapers. So this morning, we saw a particular national daily talking about the fact that a lot of interesting bodies are speaking for and supporting what is going on in Osun State. And another one that caught my attention was where it said there are still conflicting orders in Osun State. Now, the point is, at this point, what is the fate of the supposed local government chairman, the one that has been sworn in, and the one from the other party as well? What's going to be their fate?
Well, the other part, I have told you that this is a question of law. So they are just us. We have stated one thing, which all lawyers all over the world know, that as even without considering that even have to, you will not resort to self-aid. There is provision section 27 of the Constitution, and pursuant to which judgment enforcement procedure rules was made. That judgment procedure rule states categorically how you can go about judgment. You don't need to resort to self-help. You will recall that on the eve of this thing, of this issue, the staff of the local government, the NOGE and the NSC, they withdrew their members from the local government for security reasons. These people, on getting to the local government, they broke the gate of the local government. They resort to self-help. They entered the local government and they were looting. At the appropriate time, all these things will be resolved. As stated by our governor, those people in our local government secretariat today, they are just facts, and we allow them to continue their issue. Well, how do I mean? We know they are in control of the police. They are in control of the security operatives. That is why what they call federal might, which they think they want to use to cause trouble, and that they are working towards establishing a state of emergency here. Our governor is wiser. We are dealing with them intellectually. We will not allow that to happen. And we know that all these people will get back to the court, and the court will resolve it. And I want everybody who wants to comment on this issue to do enough research to know, to tell you whether when two judgments are against you, you can bury one and say it does not matter, and then continue to parrot one. So as it is today, our elected local government chairman, the governor has said they should stay away from the local government secretariat so as to avoid clash, and that the issue will be resolved through the court. And so because that is a man of peace, as per the other person, I told you the genesis, they caused the problem, the people have rejected them, they want to come back through the back door. They have been saying that the federal government will declare state of emergency so that they will put their squeegees there. It will be renewed until the election comes. We won't allow that to come to happen. I in our law, as it is today, the federal government or the president cannot just wake up and declare state of emergency. The law has moved beyond that point. You can take section 305 of the Constitution. So as it is today, the law will resolve the law down very, very soon.
Thank you. As we round off, let's quickly take your comments. Matthew, you are a custodian of the law, and there has been issues concerning conflicting orders or arguments or judgments by the judiciary. And this seems not to augur well for democracy. Looking at what is before us in Osun State, what do you see going forward as a way of resolving this quagmire that we seem to be having by virtue of the conflicting judgments from the judiciary?
Like I said earlier, when legality take the back seat and politics take the front seat, the driver's seat, there's always a dilemma. The rule of law will be subjected to the will of man. That is where we have found ourselves today. There is no saying that those who are interpreting the judicial pronouncement in their own personal understanding of what the court has said in clear terms, they are playing politics. And when politics is now mistaken for legal position or judicial pronouncement, you arrive at a state of confusion. When the PDP interest persons make their submission, explaining the same judgment that is understood by the layman on the street to mean something different that suit their narrative, and APC will come out and interpret the same judgment in a way that they feel will suit their narrative. They are merely playing politics. Judgment of
okay,
court
what's the right way to go as a lawyer, as a legal practitioner? What's the right way to go?
Judgments of court are not delivered in riddles. They are delivered in clear terms, and orders are specific, and they are certain. It is refusal to comply with those orders that lead to different interpretation of clear wordings of court judgments. The better way to look at it is to obey the judgment of court as stated in the judgment, which are never uttered delivered in riddles.
Okay, Barrister Matthew, if we are to get you in clear terms, who are you saying, what body are you saying should obey? Is it the state government or the governor or that of the reinstated APC local government chairman?
I have not gotten the privilege of going through the various judgments that they are all talking about until I study those judgments and see the true wordings. But whichever way it is, there are judgments that are existing. And the judgment that should be obeyed. If there are many judgments, one must be first in time. Let the judgment that is first in time be obeyed.
Thank you. Let's get your thoughts, Ahmed Mamadou, in a minute. Let's get your thoughts. What do you see going forward this legal tussle could do in terms of shaping the politics in Osun State and, of course, democracy? Ahmed Mamadou, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Let's get your thoughts on going forward, what should be done in the area of settling this dispute, because there seem to be conflicting judgments, and how can we make sure that democracy in Osun State is intact? In 1 minute.
I think all of these conflicts are kind of helping to broaden our understanding of the democratic practice, and it allows us to have a historical context of what is going on, so that if something like this comes up again, there is something to fall back on. I believe, like a lot of the panelists have said, the rule of law should be paramount. And I think, like even the commissioner too has mentioned, everybody should be able to go back to the court and say there is some areas that we are not clear about, and let us have some clarity. But in the interest of peace, that should be the paramount thing for everybody in Osun State. And I hope everybody at this point in time shits their swords and allows the courts to sort through all of these conflicts.
Thank you so much.
Right now, finally, let's move over to the Commissioner of Information in Osun State, if you're still there, because over the past few weeks, we've seen different violent cases. A lot of persons have died throughout this whole scenario since it all began. So the final question would be, how can we resolve this amicably without having any form of violence whatsoever in Osun State?
You know, the governor has taken a step as a man of peace. You that were just elected don't go to the local government. That has prevented the chaos. As per the legal issue, I believe our lawyers they are taking steps, and the whole issue will be one way directly or indirectly be brought before the court, and the court will have opportunity to make a definite pronouncement on it that will not be subjected to any form of unusual interpretation. Very, very soon, the whole lockdown will become a thing of past, and normalcy will be returned.
Okay, quickly before we allow you go, let's get your thoughts. As at today, what's the position of the inaugurated local government chairman by the governor, Ademola Adeleke? Are they still out of the offices? Because we understand that the governor warned or advised that they should stay away from the secretariat. So what's the position, and who are the persons occupying the secretariat at this moment?
Let me tell you one thing. The governor is not about the forward, the blocks. You know, when you are talking of a governor, the authority resides in the person who's supposed to have the authority. It's not about those gestures that are just being brigandage with our local government to cause a problem. Those, they are just gestures. Until the court resolves, if the court resolves the issue in their favor, why not? They don't have to run all these tenors so for you to know. Their tenor will end by October. So it's not that as if they have any big deal. They want them to know that they cannot use any federal force to come and bamboozle us here. We want to make a statement to the whole world that people's might is greater than any federal might. So our chairmen, they are doing their job. They don't need to go to secretariat before they do that.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kolakbo Alimi, for taking our time to be part of this. Mr. Kolakbo Alimi is the Commissioner of Information, Osun State. And in a few seconds, your final take on this, Never.
My final take on this is that the governor of Osun State, Governor Ademola Adeleke, should provide leadership for the people of Osun State. I believe that the people of Osun State are related, whether they have PDP or APC, and that economic activities that have been crippled as a result of this crisis, we should ensure that order and sanity is restored. Even the National Council for Arts and Tourism and the Creative Economy that scheduled their activity for Osun State from 24 to 27, the federal government came up with a statement that has been cancelled because the atmosphere is not conducive. There are so many consequences of this unpalatable and avoidable political crisis in Osun State. And if the governor provides leadership and resort to rule of law, everything will be amicably resolved in the interest of Osun State and its people.
Okay, thank you. Let's go to you, Matthew Edarese. In just 30 seconds, your final take on this.
Stop this idea of everything. That is the way out of this debacle in Osun State.
Okay, Ahmed Mamadou, your final take on this in 15 seconds.
And the resolution, the quick resolution, not just based on rule of law, but on equity. We must always go back to equity in all our decisions so that whatever final outcome, there is the belief that not justice has not only been done, it must be seen to be done as well. That's what I believe should be paramount in this issue.
Thank you so much, Ahmed Mamadou, and big thanks to you, Matthew Edarese, and of course, Neville Bakedo, and to the Commissioner of Osun State, Commissioner for Information, Mr. Kolakbo Alimi. Big thanks, and we wish you a beautiful day ahead of you.